Okay, point of order. I said something, I don't know if it was last week or like a previous week or something. Also, hi, this is the PixelPlay Podcast. Adam, aka CS Radical here. Yeah, remember how we were talking, I think it must have been last week because we were talking about all like the, games that were coming out in the next 6 months. How I mentioned that when we were talking about the Indiana Jones DLC. But I'm like, man, I'm so glad that I finished Indiana Jones at the beginning of this year because God knows I have nothing for the Jin and Chris Classic. So I was going through all of my lists and I checked all my completed games from this year. I'm an idiot and forgot like the 2 10 out of 10s that I've given so far from games that came out previously before 2025. That being the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood and Unicorn Overlord. So both of those games, really fucking sorry that I'm an idiot and somehow forgot this game that I thought was amazing. So, yeah.
That's good. Now you got option.
Yeah, well, at least it makes that a little bit easier. I'm actually have to, process that a little bit more now. Now it's not just, well, I guess that's a throwaway. Now it's like, crap, now I actually have to make decisions. But we are now going to be talking about the first 6 months. We talked about the schedule that was coming down the line last week. So now we're going to talk about, now that we are officially in July, it is July 1st as we're recording this, so happy Canada Day to all our Canucks. And obviously, happy 4th of July to those in the States as we're getting closer to that, as this will be out on the 2nd. So, but we are going to go over, now that we have a full 6 months of releases out, we're going to talk about the games that we think are the most likely to land a Game of the Year nomination. And by the end of this, Chris and I, we will come up with an official PixelPlay seal of approval, 6 nominees for Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, aka probably 2 or 3 that might actually make it.
Yeah, I feel like we've got at least a couple that are going to make it. I feel like the year's not going to
There is 2 guaranteed that are going to make it. It's just a matter of will anything else from this year stick as well, or will the list of games coming out in the next, realistically 4 months, because no one seems to want to put anything out in November onward. But we shall see as things go around. But first off, Chris, how are you doing here on this glorious Canada Day as we are waiting? I'm not that far from a park, so I'm wondering how long it's going to take for fireworks to start, but we'll find out.
Right during the podcast.
Yeah, naturally.
Like loud explosions during the podcast.
Well, if it happens, it's just part of the ambience at this point.
It's just ambience. It's a YouTube video. Adam left it running in the background. I'm good. I've been playing a bit of games. It's the Steam Summer Sale. So that's always one of my it's my favorite sale, obviously, video game sale.
For you, sure. For me, I just spent another 5 seconds looking at my wish list and going, oh, the best thing I have is 40% off and I don't really need it right now. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I've bought like 9 games, and but of those 9 games, like the amount of them that are like $1.94.
And this guy wonders though why his backlog's never ending.
Oh no, it's never ending, and I know exactly why. I just don't acknowledge it except for during the Steam Summer Sale. Yeah, I got some good games. I picked up a couple like, I guess, older ones that I've always been like, yeah, I don't know, and then it's like, oh, 98% off or whatever. I picked up like Crypt of the Necro Dancer, that interesting indie game where you got to like move to the beat and everything. Very good. I struggle with it. I find it hard. I think it might be me.
So you got no rhythm. I understand.
Yeah. And there's like a way to turn it off. But of course, it says all achievements will be disabled. And I'm like, but it's the only reason I'm here. Achievements is what I thrive for. So I'm still trying.
You would hate the newest one they've done, Rift of the Necro Dancer. Because that one's even harder in my opinion.
Yeah, oh geez, yeah. I think I just need to practice, and like every time I do a run, I unlock more like permanent upgrade kind of stuff. So I think I just got to kind of do that. I picked up, what else did I grab? I grabbed Beyond Two Souls, a game. I have it on my PS5, but it was like $1.90 something Canadian. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll get it, and then I can play the better PC version for the cost of a cup of coffee. I did spend a little bit extra money. I did grab Red Dead Redemption 2. I bought that back on the Xbox Series X back during Boxing Day 2020, right after I got my Xbox. I bought it because I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to stick with Game Pass. So when Game Pass runs out, I will play Red Dead on my Xbox. I'll ensure there's at least something I can play on there. My dumbass thought that I'd have Game Pass for like maybe a year, and I've been earning so many Microsoft rewards points that I'm covered till the end of 2026. At this point, I'm like, I'll never play Red Dead on my Xbox when Game Pass is there, because I'll be like, but the games might disappear off Game Pass if I don't play them. They're scheduled, like they're only on there for a limited time. And while Red Dead is good, it's always been one I knew I'd like play more like my side game for a while. So I grabbed it on PC because even just fan of the show, Soupy mentioned in our Discord. Shout out, join our Discord down below. Obviously, go to the link tree. It's that it runs like great on Steam Deck, 30 FPS. It's always in the Steam charts for like top played on Steam Deck. So I grabbed that one. Haven't played it yet. And a few other titles that I hopped into. Golf Peaks, which is really cool. Card deck building mini golf, which is really cool. I've already beaten it. I actually played that on Steam Deck. It can be beaten in 4 hours if you're good at puzzles. Turns out I'm good at puzzles. I beat that real quick. That's a very
the guy
cool
who plays like Picross games over and over again.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's like a little grid, and you got to get the ball to the hole, obviously. But you'll have like one card that's like hit the ball one square in a direction, one that's like 3, another one that's like, you know, jump and do 2, so it'll actually like do a chip kind of move where you chip the ball up over. So if the one of the tiles is higher, you'll have to do that one, or else you would just hit it. And it goes from there. They start having like quicksand, ice where the ball won't stop rolling. They've got conveyor belts moving in a specific direction if the ball stops there. Like, it starts to get more complicated. It's only 120 levels. I beat it in 2 days. Like, I played for an hour and a bit. One day I played for an hour and a bit, another day, and it was done. That was a lot of fun. But what I really had been playing, getting into actually what I've been playing, I finished on Game Pass the Warhammer Space Marine 1 remaster. It's called like the Master Crafted Edition or something. That was fun. Though I will say I'm glad that was on Game Pass. This is one of those times where I'm very thankful for Game Pass. I wanted to play the game because I want to play Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 is a direct continuation story-wise. In the end, I don't think I would have really needed to worry too much. I probably could have just read about it. The story is not huge in the first game. The biggest issue with it is not like it's a badly designed game in the sense of like, oh, like they didn't put, like there's a lot of bugs or they didn't care about this and all that. No, the game ran great. It's just, it's a remaster of an Xbox 360 and PS3 game, and it really feels like that. Not in a good way. It's a lot of just like going down hallways. Oh, there's a bit of a more open area, fight enemies, go more down hallway. And there's a lot of just like, you'll be going down hallways that have rooms, and you'll look to your left in like this factory. It's a big open room with like one small crate in the middle of it, and there's like 5 of those rooms as you're continuing, and one of them has a collectible audio thing you can collect. And it's like, there's so little in these like rooms and stuff, and like it was a limitation of the time, but they didn't really push the remaster when it comes to like putting new assets in there and stuff like that to really make it more alive. It was still the same look throughout the whole game, a planet under attack, lots of hallways, and then you're in a sewer, and then you're in a factory, and then you're outside the factory, and then you're back in another factory. And it's just like a lot of the same, and a lot of empty space. Yeah, which I'm sure at the time, you know, 360 PS3 era, this is probably a mind-blowing game. And I can see why people would have loved it back then. But, you know, obviously, as far as modern games go, this one felt old. It wasn't long. I got through it in like 7 hours. I was glad to finish it. But yeah, like it felt like an older game. And I kind of, it made me like more excited for the newer game because it looks like not like that. It looks like a lot more chaotic, a lot more modern. So I'd really like to get to that one eventually once it's on Game Pass or on sale for a decent sale or something like that.
I mean, it's also interesting to just be playing like Warhammer games from back then, whereas now like they've really started to hit their stride now. Where like,
yes,
obviously like Dark Tide's done very well, Vermintide's been doing very, very well. Space Marine just keeps getting better. So like, it's now at a point where it used to be like every time I'd see a Warhammer game, I'd be like, man, I feel so bad for these guys because they're not really putting their best foot forward. And now it's like, oh, they're trying real good now.
Yeah, like the newer ones, I've played Vermintide 1 and 2 a lot. I have Rogue Trader. I've played that on Steam Deck. Space Marine 2, everybody raves about that game. But yeah, this one definitely feels like I understand where they're going. And once the technology catches up or they're able to like really nail it down, it'll be great. But yeah, the first one is like it's a fun playthrough if you're a big fan. There's multiplayer, maybe that's really good. I didn't touch the multiplayer. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to get through the story so I could kind of play the second game. It's good. I could really only play like 1 to 1.5 hours at a time before I'd be like, this is a lot of the same. But it was a nice palette cleanser. Like that's all I needed it to be. I wasn't looking to be blown away. I didn't aim for all the achievements and all that kind of stuff. So that was fun. And then as a completely different game that I played, I've been playing a lot of the Cast and Chill, that fishing game.
I'm not. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, so I grabbed that. As soon as I saw that, it was like during the Wholesome Direct or something. I saw it, obviously during the Summer Game Fest. That game is beautiful. It is great where you can just like the concept is easy. You start out on one map or one lake, I guess, or one section of a lake. You have one rod, one boat, one lure. You get to choose your companion, like your dog, and I think you can actually choose a couple cats, like a Maine Coon, like big cat. Nothing really happens with them. I think when you drive over fish, they'll sometimes bark or whatever, like, oh, there's fish below, or maybe it's only if there's new fish. You're fishing. Like it's relaxing. Certain fish only go for certain lures. There's small, medium, large, and extra large, and the like trophy level fish. If your rod can't handle a certain size or anything, like the line will snap and you'll lose the fish kind of idea. But the idea is you fish, you collect the fish, each one's worth a bit of money. And on the map, you can go to the left or the right, and you go to the shop, which is this beautifully designed pixel art shop. And the entire game is beautiful, obviously, as you're seeing in the video here. For anybody actually seeing the YouTube video version, it's all pixel art. It reminds me of this game that I play, Kingdoms, if anybody's ever played that, which is more of like a tower-based defense game, but the pixel art is beautiful. You go to the shop and it's like there's the like guy who works there in the tackle shop and stuff, and it's just like beautiful pixel art. When you're there, you can buy new lures, you can buy new rods or upgrade rods, so they have longer length line or they can handle more weight, like so the fish can't kind of destroy the line as quickly. You can buy new boats. The only thing with the boats is that, like basically the first one is like a rowboat, so you're pretty slow. By the time you get to the fourth boat, it's got a motor and you like move back and forth a lot faster. Plus, you can upgrade not just the speed, but how many fish you can actually hold on the boat. So instead of having like just three that you start out with, so you catch three fish, got to go back to the shop, blah, blah, blah. I've got the best boat and like as it's fully upgraded and I can hold something like 12 or something fish at a time. But yeah, you catch fish, you go, you buy new lures, you buy new rods or upgrade rods, you buy a new boat, upgrade boats. And the last thing is maps. You buy a new map, you get to go to a new lake that has a new setting. Each one is like similar, but like also different. Like one is like a beaver dam and you see beavers and stuff around. One of them's called like Grizzly Falls. It's a lot of waterfalls with this grizzly there that's like catching salmon in the background. All just beautiful, pixel art. But what also makes this special is you can put it to idle mode. So you can basically turn it into just a beautiful screensaver where it catches fish for you. It'll change the rods and lures based on what's in the lake as well. Catch the fish. When it gets full, the boat will go, drop the money off at the shop, come back out and keep fishing. It's nice though when it's idling, it doesn't like the view when you're fishing yourself, it like goes under the water so you can see what fish are there and catching them. It actually leaves it all above the water. So it
probably would make sense that it would stay above because it kind of keeps that sort of like just watching a guy hanging on the lake sort of deal.
And that's what it does. Yeah, exactly. So you just watch this guy and his dog fish. And it's got obviously this beautiful music in the background, the sound of the fishing reel and everything, which I find very relaxing. I've been to cottage and stuff, and I love fishing. So yeah, like I've played it, but then it was interesting. I actually was double gaming with that Warhammer game. I have a little like a second dock for my Steam Deck for if I travel and it's like I'm going to play Jackbox at somebody's house. I've got a dock for it. I just put the dock on my coffee table, prop the Steam Deck up, and put this to idle mode and had this guy fishing while I played Warhammer on the TV on my Xbox. and it just like was this soothing screensaver thing that I had, but I was actually still like earning money and like still playing the game and stuff. There is a bunch of achievements that you can't idle. There's a legendary version of each fish, which are the super big ones at the bottom. You need like a really good rod, the perfect lure, and to go at the perfect time of day, and like they're, harder to pull up. Those fish are not attracted to your hook during idle mode. They only are attracted when you are playing directly. So you can actually play this entire game in idle mode. You don't even have to play it technically, minus if you're going for those legendary fish, you still have to earn them. And there's one achievement per fish. So you know I'm going to go for it because it's like 15 achievements that I'll need in this game. It's a beautiful, just like side game. I think it's like 18 or 15 or $12 or something like that. Canadian. I can't remember the exact price. I think it was closer to like the 18. I love this. Like it's the perfect screensaver slash cozy game to play on like a Steam Deck. And just really relax. I honestly kind of want to just put this on my TV one day. Maybe if I'm reading a book, I'm trying to read more. I could definitely see me putting the Steam Deck like docked to my TV, starting this game up, and then just like reading my book and just having the sound on low and the fishing's going with the music and stuff like that. It's the ultimate background screensaver. And again, you're still actually earning money and everything too as it plays. So it's like you're actually getting a bit of progress by putting it in that idle mode. So really great game that I picked up in the Steam Summer Sale. I knew I was going to get it. It was actually my number one excited game, which doesn't surprise anybody because how much I love cozy games. And it's well worth every penny. I think it's a little bit on sale, like 20% off for the Steam Summer Sale. Nothing crazy. But
we're still talking about a game that's under $20, like realistically.
It's under $20. You can pick it up full price. Like I highly suggest if anybody's interested in just like something cozy that you can also set to an idler just to have going in the background, and then you get to return to it and play it yourself. It's the perfect game for anybody who's into that. It seems
like a perfect Steam Deck game as well, just to be like playing it on the couch or something, and then if you suddenly need to stop and do something, like if you're waiting for something to be finished in the oven or whatever, you put it down, you can go right back to it. Just put it in idle mode.
Yeah, and I do it all the time. I actually, today I had it going. I went to go barbecue outside, Canada Day, some dinner there, and I just set it to idle and put it back down, and it played a bit. I earned a bit extra more money, and came back and continued before the podcast. So yeah.
Well, I am still dealing with the altars. I am very close to finishing, though, I can tell. But I grossly underestimated how much time I was going to spend with this game. I'm genuinely surprised how much time I've played this game for. Now, the second act is obviously a lot longer than the first. I did mention last week that I was just finishing up the first act. The second one definitely has a lot more going on with it, and with a lot more traversal, a lot more upgrading. It definitely did start to really show its fangs too. Like it's starting to really push the story forward. By the time you get to the third act, the conflict really starts to hit, and it really tells some interesting stories. And obviously with a game that's meant to be about like this crazy sci-fi situation where the only way you can survive on this derelict planet is by making copies of yourself that are from different realities where they walked a different path so they can use. So they have different skills. So this guy's really good at like a good scientist. This guy is really good at fixing shit. This guy's a doctor, really good to deal with medical treatment and stuff to help out with guys that get injured. And like to put all that together and knowing that means that it's not just the same mind, but it's completely different personality. Some of these guys even have like different like ways of talking. Like there's one guy who is the refiner, who is the guy that's really good for taking apart these specific metals into like other parts that you might need. And they also are good for dealing with like they're like the quote unquote monsters that you deal with, which are just these blobs that can cause extra radiation damage to you. But they drop stuff if you beat them, and he can take them apart for more resources as well. He's very much the stoner that works on an oil rig guy, so he's very much got that like whoa, like Keanu Reeves, like sort of, Bill and Ted kind of like voice to him. But it's really interesting in just how it's continuously like most of the characters sound relatively close, because I'm not even sure if it's the same voice actor or not that just does all of them and he's just doing like different variations of it. But like there's just enough there for most of them to be like, okay, yeah, I can kind of tell this is still the same person, but they still look so completely different at the same time, so it kind of brings that intrigue. But to me still, and I think I echoed this last time I was talking about it, my OCD is triggered so much by just having, okay, I've still got this little bit of the map left to explore. I need to get this many materials so that way I can start finishing up resources or researching this, and then I can start building these things. And then by the time I'm getting close to the end of the act, I'm like, all right, now I just need to prepare as much as I can before we move, so that way I'm ready to go as soon as things start again. And it's just ticking that part of my brain that's like, I need to be constantly making sure that I'm set for the next day. It's very similar to like blueprints, where it's just, all right, even if this doesn't work, I gotta like do as much preparation I can to maybe make my next try work. And it's just one of those things where I can tell, Chris, you with a Steam Deck, you will fucking love this game.
I can see it. The more you describe it, I'm like, oh no, this is one of those games I don't come out of for a while.
Now, the only thing that, because I know this is the final act, the only thing that kind of sucks is that I'm gonna miss the idea of like exploring a map. Like, I've now finished exploring the entirety of this Act 3 map. So I know where all the resources are now. I've got almost everything set up, and it's just a matter of collecting them all and getting ready for whatever the final bit of the story is going to be. And it makes me sad because it now kind of takes away any chance of like, okay, I wonder what else I might see. And now it's just like, all right, I've seen everything. It's just a matter of, now the story's got to finish up. So there's that bit of sadness, but like every time I start an act, I get excited again because I'm like, okay, what am I going to start with first? Like, what's my priority? And it just kind of makes my mind start to move around and be like, all right, maybe we'll go for this. As soon as I land on Act 3, I go, all right, I need to find this specific resource now. And as soon as I do that, then I can focus on researching this. And then a story thing happened around the same time where I went, fuck, I need to do that first, and then I'll do that research, but I need to get moving because I'm running out of time because there's going to be a magnetic storm soon, and I'm not going to want to go outside for a little while, so I need to get as much of this shit done before it's too late. So it's like, it's stress that you almost put on yourself, which is my favorite kind of stress. I like games that can stress you out, but only when you make it yourself to be stressful.
Yeah.
Instead of obviously what a Soulsborne does, which is intentionally stress you out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. Like, I appreciate, too, that, like, again, it's very much the little decisions have mattered here and there. I don't know how much of, the ending's going to really be effective. I doubt it will, but at least in terms of the conversations that happen, it does feel like, okay, either the decisions I made or the certain choices to say or not say certain things has definitely made an impact. So it's doing that very well. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel when this is over, though. That's the only question mark that I have left, but, like, I don't think that this game can go below an 8, and I think it's probably going to set at a 9 when this is all done. Because I think the only thing I would take away from it is just, it does get to a point where, like, talking with your other selves, I find myself skipping too much dialogue because I don't care about most of it. Because it's just basically you talking to yourself, and it's not really adding all that much sometimes. So I kind of just ended up skipping a lot. And also, one of the things that I just kind of learned that I need to do, and I'm not nearly as happy about because I think it's a little overdone. You want to keep your alters as happy as possible so that they'll work as many hours in the day. If they're pissed at you, they'll only work 4 hours, which is not a lot. On average, they'll work 9. But if you get them really happy, they'll work 12, which is basically the entirety of the day, which is great, specifically if you got guys that you want to be mining and you need resources, because that means you have as much time to get as much out of them as you can. And there are only 2 really ways to do that. There are like dialogue in, similar to like obviously like any Mass Effect or Dragon Age or any of those kind of games where certain things you say can have a positive or negative impact depending on your choices. But realistically, the 2 main ways to get people's emotions high is either play beer pong with them. Yes, I said beer pong. Or you watch a movie that takes 3 hours of your day, which I usually do. There's this stretch of 3 hours at the end of the day where the radiation starts and you're tired, so you basically stay inside anyway. So really, you just watch the 3-hour movie. Everybody's got at least a little bit of a boost to their emotional values, and then you go to bed immediately after that. Like, usually what'll happen is if I don't see anything else that I need to do, I'll immediately go back to the base. I'll play a couple of rounds of beer pong or whatever, how much ever time I have left, and then finish off with a movie and then go to bed. And then we move on to the next day. And the only thing I have a problem with that is that I find like it's getting to a point now that it's like I don't want to have to play beer pong 6 times just to get everyone happy to try to make the best out of it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, there could have been some better ways to do it. Because there are other buildings that you can create. Like every one of them has a personal cabin now. But like you can't like, give them anything, you can't like decorate something to kind of like change their mood at all or anything. Like there's not like anything else you can really do aside from just, not piss them off in every conceivable way by not giving them a place to sleep or not feeding them, So it's one of those things that it's a little annoying, but at the same time, I get it because you probably don't just want the player to have an easy time on just having them work full shifts all the game, and it just kind of takes away that time management part. There also are difficulty levels to it. I'm not sure what would happen if I took the hardest difficulty. It might just mean that they're really difficult to keep happy, so they're constantly going to be upset. Who knows? I know the resources would also be take a little bit longer to generate, so there's stuff like that, but I was like, I'm not here to play challenge mode. I'm just here to enjoy what's there. But yeah, this game is, again, very much like Blueprints, far exceeding my expectations. And unless the story takes a nosedive at the end, I think we're in a good spot.
I got to play this. I got to add it to my list. It's on Game Pass, so.
Yep.
Got to.
I mean, it might as well work into a great conversation to onto our next topic, which is the best games that have come out. I think the Ultras, like at this time, I think has a small chance because it's reviewing very well, and I think also it's a very interesting concept. Well, I think it'd make it to the end. I had not a chance, but I think as of right now, I think if you did the awards today, you'd have a good shot at it. So I'll just clear that out and say that's like one of my dark horses. And I don't think I really need to explain any further because I've already spent about 10 minutes on it. So I'll put that as like my one. Now, can we just get the 2 out of the way that we know are probably going to be there? So we're going over what we think Jeff Keighley would nominate for his Game Awards if we did 6 games only from this first 6 months. Let's get the 2 out of the way that are going to be there. I think these 2 are locks even for the end of the year. And that's Expedition 33, shocking.
Yeah, shocking, right?
Game that's probably going to win, even though I don't think it deserves it. Sorry, that's going to be my hot take for the next 6 months. I'm going to keep doing it every once in a while.
I think it deserves it. It's my game of the year.
And Blueprints, which I think is going to be... I think unless something comes absolutely out of nowhere and really hammers it, I think it's going to be the indie game that gets nominated for sure. But even without the indie thing, I think it's such an incredible masterpiece of a puzzle game to the point that I think a lot of people who normally aren't into these kind of games, like myself, got really into it. But we'll start with Claire Obscure just to kind of go over it again. Despite my reservations that I've gone over with on the show of it, this is like the current, like if you put money on it, this is the one I'd be putting money on. It's a turn-based RPG that defied all expectations, has reviewed tremendously well. I think it's still the highest rated game on Metacritic. And it's got the popularity of it. Like, it's highly reviewed. It's a niche genre that a lot of people get really defensive about when it's at its best. So it gets really, good talk like that one. If you can get the JRPG crowd agreeing with it, I know it's not a JRPG. I'm going to still call it that because that's how my brain operates with turn-based RPGs. But that community pretty much unanimously loves that game. And then, like I said, in my hot takes, it's got that Soulsborne sort of vibe to it. It's checking all the boxes possible, and not to mention that it's a visually striking game. The soundtrack is probably going to win this year.
Oh, God, yeah. Has to.
It's got so many things going for it. To me, it's not a matter of will it be nominated or will it win. It's how many awards is it walking away with.
Yeah. Art direction, music, game of the year.
Voice acting, probably,
Voice acting. Yeah. It's the best of all of those. It really is the best of all of those. It's... Gosh, the only issue with this game is it's kind of ruined the rest of 2025 for me. No, it hasn't. 2025 still
hasn't made that problem for me. I'm still good.
Yeah, it's just it's like when I beat Sea of Stars and I was like, oh, nothing's gonna live up to this the rest of the year. Okay, lower expectations, 8 out of 10 the rest of the year. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
I love this game.
realistically speaking, like we obviously went over the list of like a lot of games that could potentially, poke some holes into the list this year. I don't obviously we didn't think like when Baldur's Gate was listed, to come out later in the year that was going to do any damage, and obviously it did a ton of damage. So I don't know what on the list could beat this, but that being said, anything's possible. You never know what comes out there and just completely shatters expectations, because this was a game that you and I were both watching the trailers for this game being like, please be good. Please be good. I don't know how I feel about an Xbox first-party turn-based RPG, but please be good, because we need more of these. Yeah. And lo and behold, we got something more than what we anticipated. I still gave it an 8, but I still look at it as being like incredibly way better than I ever thought it was going to be too.
Yeah, I remember you and I seeing the original footage of it like last year in the Summerfest, and it was like, oh, okay, Soulsborne-y
we were more just
looking
surprised.
game.
We were like, wait, this is a turn-based game?
Yeah, then all of a sudden it showed turn-based, and it was like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like, and then there was like nothing for a long time, and then it got near release time, and they showed a bit more, and it's like, holy crap, this looks good. What the hell is this?
Yeah, it really was that point where I kept looking at it being like, this looks too good to be true, man. I even said it before, I'm pretty sure that like this looks like a game that obviously it's a developer that's never really done like a major game on their own like this. Like, I feel like they might be in over their heads, and then sure enough it comes out and I went, son of a bitch, these guys actually fucking got it right.
Oh, they got it right. Oh yeah.
And and like inevitably, and we'll be talking about this when we obviously do our actual nominees at the end of the year. But like, this is a game very much similar to what Balatro was, and even Astrobot to some degree, where it's proving once again to, unfortunately, the corporate executives that will never listen anyway, but it's proving that the market's honestly shifted from games that are just all about just dumping hundreds of hours of time into it. It's no longer about, over the top, like, here, just throw a million fucking references in something. Obviously Fortnite's still going to do what Fortnite's going to do, but like, we're tired of games that it's demanding you to be in there all the time, like live service games. We're tired of all these games that are just so needs to be the map that's so big that you won't even believe it's a real city. And it's just at the point of like, no, make a game with a solid foundation, a good story, and everything else can kind of do itself after that. If you get the foundation and a decent story in there, you can work with whatever you want with this kind of game. The visuals didn't even necessarily have to be top of the line as they've been. It could have been very average, and this still would have done very well. Do I think it would have gotten the same amount of attention by streamers and such? Maybe not, but I still think that we would have looked at this game being very, very good. I still think we'd look at it as like a Game of the Year nominee, without that. But... yeah. It's just one of those things where every time a game like this comes out and does well, even though I still think it's a bit overrated for how it's reviewing, I still want it to succeed very well, because it means that other companies will try to copy that. Because I'd rather they be copying this than copying, obviously what's turned out a lot of games to fail just on Sony alone, for example. Yes. And it's interesting. You mentioned Balatro, you mentioned Astrobot, and now this. And something that is also common across all three is they are traditional games, modernized, but you've got they're
one
also
that's a
not
3D
being made
platformer.
by massive teams with a massive budget.
No, not massive teams, much smaller teams, all of them. One's a 3D platformer, Astrobot, so very much mid-90s, late 90s, modernized, but still the same. You got a turn-based RPG like the mid-late 90s. You've got a card game, which I guess applies to literally any time, right?
It applies to 1690s.
Yeah, like it applies from even before video games existed, but even with video games like, or whatever, even if this would be considered a video game, you got Solitaire, you got Free Cell, like you've got all these card games that kind of like connect, right? So they aren't these AAA blockbuster style games with huge budgets of 500 million and doing this and that and huge teams and like massive open world and all that.
Like it's at the point that it's showing like you don't need to spend $300+ million on a Red Dead Redemption 2 just to make a really good game.
Yep, absolutely. So they're old school, new school, and it paid off. Oh, so much.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope that this message keeps ringing clear, because, I mean, look, I'm not against games that have big budgets and stuff, but the problem is the record of most of these games now is they're either terrible or they're like 7s or 8s because there's such a void in them. Like, I really, really hope that the third and potentially last Horizon game is better, because I don't want that game to end with a really sour note. Like, I love the first game so much and I have great memories with it. I don't want to suddenly remember the franchise as it stands as just being a one and done, like a one-hit wonder in the video game world. So I don't want like these larger games to fail, but what I want companies to start doing is to start realizing that you don't need to focus on size. I would rather you shorten up your, I'm not saying like make your campaign 10 hours. I'm saying you can still do 20 to 30 and in a smaller map, but tell more stories this way instead of spending so much time with collectathons, which is the problem with so many of these.
They don't have anything worth value there, so they just make you go defeat 30 bandit camps and find these 10 collectibles and find these 10 armor pieces and all this
like
random
even a game
stuff.
like The Altars is essentially a collectathon because it's a resource gatherer, but what it also has to its advantage is how it sets up its game. There are two things. Yahtzee recently did I keep talking about Yahtzee because him and I have just been agreeing on so much shit, but he did on his semi-ramblomatic, he was talking about how housing in video games are so like lackluster in comparison to a lot of others, and what the Altars does so well is it makes your home feel like your home instead of just a place that you stop at occasionally. Because it's literally a place that you spend so much of your time with and meaningful things happen there. And what happens in this open world, to go back to that part as well, is that it's a day cycle. So that it doesn't feel like you're running around on a map for 7 hours like you do in a lot of these open world games, just slowly completing, you know, collect this thing, finish this random side quest, and climb this radio tower. In the Altars, it's, all right, you've probably, depending on how you have everything set up, you'll probably finish a day in like a half hour. And that's how it saves, by the way. I don't think I ever mentioned it. The way the Altar saves is it's literally just every time you wake up the next morning. So whatever you do in that entirety of the day, there's no save point. So whatever you've done is what accumulates, and the next day you wake up. So if you ever want, the only way you can like start something over is you would have to start from the previous day before you go to bed. Otherwise, you're kind of not going to be able to. But like, it makes the time that you are doing stuff matter, and it makes it also more easily digestible because you can just put in a day and then decide, you know, I'm going to take a break and walk away. Whereas a lot of these open world games are kind of designed to just make you want to keep going because you're like, but I haven't quite finished this corner of the map yet. But you're not actually doing anything meaningful, which is the problem.
No.
And like with Expedition, like, I'm not going to say that everything in that game was meaningful, but it felt like most of the time when you were somewhere, there was a purpose. Because I don't think we ever talked about it when we were reviewing it. I didn't like the fact that there's these places that you go to and all that's there is a collectible. And it's just like a Resident Evil still area. And all there is a one item there, and that's it. There's no story there. There's no nothing. There's no fights. It's just a small section of the map that's just there for the purpose of putting a collectible there. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, the only thing that I feel those had for the benefit of them is that they were still really beautiful. So when I saw it, I was like, whoa, what a cool image.
I mean, I could argue that you could do that in a different way. Like, you could have done that as like some sort of a cutscene thing. Metaphor actually did that, where during your travels, there are these landmarks that you come across, and all it is you stop, and there's this really beautiful artistic like vista that they've drawn, and there's just a small cutscene that they show with just, you know, them talking about what they're seeing and kind of relating it to the story at the time. And I think you could have done that with Expedition, where like you go to these places and you could have still had, hey, there's a collectible on this map, but instead of you just walking and trying to figure out where the shining thing is, because it's so usually far into the map that it's kind of hard to see your character, and then you grab and then you leave, you could have just, it could have been a place that they go to, they just play a very small like 1 to 2 minute cutscene where they just kind of look at stuff and they kind of like just randomly come across a thing and they go, oh, this is interesting, well, maybe we should take this with us, and then that's the map. Like, it would have been a much more interesting decision, but either way.
Yeah.
We've talked about that enough. So go back into Blueprints, which I think is the other lock. Like I said, there are two things that have happened so far this year, Expedition being one of them, that's made turn-based RPGs really get put back on the map. I still think Metaphor should have done that more, but people wouldn't talk about it. But Blueprints really has done something that I've not seen many games do. Now, Balatro obviously has from last year, but like Blueprints is different in a way that I think it's the first time I've really seen a roguelite really get like this level of like Game of the Year praise. Because it does something so unique in that it's got a lot of really crazy puzzles to it, but even just the basic gameplay loop that it has is so easily digestible and addictive.
Very, extremely. I was very addicted to that game. It's just like the one more run kind of game, but it's interesting because it's like it's not stressful like other roguelikes, which usually like enemies or something. You're playing like Dead Cells or something. It's like I died, I gotta start again. It's more just like a puzzle, and you know the puzzle didn't play out the way you wanted, but that's okay. Here's the next day, start again, try again, and with now new random pieces.
And it helps too that there's
strategy.
Other stuff on the side too that's like you're also keeping in mind. So even if you're failing, you're still piecing other stuff together in the meantime. So there's always something ongoing. And I think that's what that game really does so much well, or so much better than so many other games, is that it's got you constantly thinking about something.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved Blueprints. I didn't go back and like do all the extra stuff, but I have a feeling I may still one day. It's such an addicting game loop. Like I couldn't play anything else when I was playing that. It's beautiful to look at for like obviously the art style it chose. The concept is simple but like interesting story wise. The puzzle element is perfect. And it starts off where like you're not as good at it, and all of a sudden you're like, for the first bit of the rooms, you're like breezing through, you know exactly what you're looking for, you've got your own strategy. And when it pays off and you have that really good run, oh, does it feel so good. So satisfying.
It reminds me that I haven't checked the Nexus mod site for that game. Did somebody finally put a mod that fixed the stupid ass dartboard puzzles? Because that was the one complaint that I had, is that eventually it gets to a point where the dartboard just becomes way too difficult and too much math that I just got really bored of it.
Yeah, I could see that. I never got to that point.
It looks like nobody's done it still. I'm very kind of annoyed by that.
It's true. Yeah, but it's so good. Yeah, besides maybe the dartboard getting like overly difficult, that's kind of a pain point. The rest of it, I think it's great. It's so satisfying when it starts to play out right.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those games that, you know, if you had told me that, I mean, at this point in time, it's my game of the year in the way that you know, obviously you and I are going to be at a crossroads between Clair Obscure and this. If you had told me that my favorite game this year was going to be a puzzle roguelite that kind of felt like Myst in a way, in terms of like this first person sort of like puzzling, or even like The Witness in a way, I would have said you're fucking crazy. I hated The Witness. Why would I ever play a game like this and enjoy it? And I saw the incredible reviews for it, and like there were articles that I was seeing saying like, yeah, even if you're not into puzzle games, you will love Blueprints. And I'm like, well, it is on Game Pass. Fine, challenge accepted. And I played it and went, son of a bitch, they're right. This is really good. I think Balatro also opened me up to that as well, because I also didn't think I'd like Balatro. Like I thought this is like, oh, this is just some other streamer game that people are getting too into. I'm not gonna believe the hype. And then eventually I'm like, screw it, I'll take a shot at it, see what happens. And I'm like, why didn't I fucking try this sooner? At least this time with Blueprints, I didn't hide that long. I think I only played like a few days after it launched, so.
Yeah, you and I both. I think you hopped in before I did even. And it was like right around launch. Yeah. Oh.
All right, well, moving on. So I've already put the altars in as like one of my dark horses, so that's my third. So I'll let you get an actual one, and now that we've gotten the obvious staples off the board now.
All right, so my next one, I haven't played it, but I'm
there's going to be stuff on the list that I haven't done. So because I'm just going, because the way that I did it, and I'm not sure how you do, I'm kind of doing a mix of like what I think there's a good spot open for, how the reviews are doing, how the general fan consensus has been about it. There's a lot of different factors that I kind of put into it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. This one, I'm going Split Fiction.
Mm-hmm. That is my number 3, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be on there. Joseph Fares, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, the Joseph Fares connection is always going to go very, very well.
Yeah,
I mean, but obviously, like it's reviewing incredibly well to the point that it's the best reviewed, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go double check that. But I'm pretty sure it's higher rated, because I think it's a 91 on Metacritic right now, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then if I do A Way Out, I'm pretty sure it wasn't that high. No, it's a 78. and then It Takes Two is an 88. So yeah, it is their highest rated game. This is the one time that I'm like, sorry, Jeff Keighley, you're not going to be able to use your friendships on this one. But, like, it's well deserving of a nominee at this rate. I think, honestly, like, this game would be the one outside of Blueprints and Clair Obscur that I think have the best chance of all the games we're going to talk about to make it, at least in my opinion. And I think it's because, A, it's Josef Fares, there is that connection. It's highly reviewed, and it's also, again, something that the industry itself needs to follow. And I've noticed this a lot, that Jeff really does like to push stuff that he wants to see the industry move towards, and games that are much more about cooperation and using the friend pass stuff. Like, I want to see more of that. There's a game that's doing it as well that I forget the name of, but I remember hearing that someone else was doing a similar thing, and I went, see, it's starting to translate. Like, this, we need more of this.
Even Mario Kart World has that, which is odd because it's Nintendo. You'd never think they would, but if you even have Switch 1, the game doesn't even run on Switch 1, but if you have people in the same room and one person owns the game on Switch 2, it actually streams to up to, I think, 3 other people in the same room. Now, it's only local, it's not online, but it's like it streams it to even people's Switch 1s, which is incredible. Like, I had no idea that it would. I haven't tried it myself, so I don't know how well it works, but while it's not exactly the friends share or the friend pass, it's still interesting that even Nintendo is starting to do it, because that's an amazing thing in the industry. We need that so much. Mm-hmm. And with Split Fiction, like Josef Fares, I've played A Way Out, I've played It Takes Two. I haven't played Split Fiction yet, but I've even played Two Sons or Two Brothers, I think it was called, his first one. I think it's Two Brothers.
Was it A Way Out?
No, before A Way Out.
Oh, there was one even before that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
or was was it A Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons? Is that the one you're thinking?
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. There we go.
I didn't realize that was the same dev.
Two Sons, Two Brothers. Yeah, I think that's his as well. I think that's actually his original one, if I'm not mistaken.
Because that's crazy. I mean, that would make sense too. But let's see, Hazelight. Nope, A Way Out was their first one.
Well, then it wasn't this. Oh, hang on.
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. I'm looking that up. Oh, it's a different publisher. It's him.
Yes, so
it's just a different studio. Okay, that's why.
Yeah. So it was his game. Yeah, different studio.
Because it was Starbreeze that did those, and they're the guys that did like Payday and such. Like, they're 505 now.
Yeah. And like every time I played one of his games specifically, they're always co-op, 2-player, and they're amazing. Like, playing, like, even the Two Brothers one, which is a lot older, it's one of the first PC games actually I think I actually played back in the day when I built my PC. Like, the storytelling, the way that it works through co-op, the split screen and how things are happening on both screens, and it's like 2 movies running, or a movie from 2 perspectives at the same time. Really, really incredible. So like, even when he does come out with one of these games, even without even needing to play it, it's like, if this lives up to the other ones, like, it's going to be Game of the Year nominee for me, because the cinematic that how cinematic he can make them, with being also a local co-op game. You can play online, but also co-op local, is just incredible. Like, they're just such great games. So I really do think that one's going to be there for the nominees.
Yeah, I think we can say it. Like, I wouldn't say it's a lock, because I think this is the one game where it's like, okay, if enough comes out in the later half, I think that could be potentially there. But I think this is the one with the best chance that the most games would need to clear that as the bar.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's basically where I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've only got 2 left at this point in terms of my list of 6, but this might be on yours as well, so I might as well try this one first. Mario Kart World, I think at this point would be considered. I don't think it'll last, just based on the number of games that will come out. But I think just in terms of, like, not just even just for the Nintendo vote, I do think that Mario Kart World has at least done something that has made people kind of really impressive what it's pulled off on that console to start with. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to have a lot of lasting impact. What does maybe Donkey Kong take over that spot, when it comes out later? Maybe, who knows? But, like, I think, like, we're now at the point of games that are probably going to get shoveled off later, but I think that this is one that we'll be looking out for. Like, I'm sure this would win Best Racing Game. This probably will win Best Family Game as well. But,
yes.
Oh, yeah. But I think it's good enough, at least at this time, for the first 6 months of the year, that I think this would be one of them.
Yeah, I do have this on the list. It is I do not think it's gonna win. Do I even really think it's like a game of the year? I don't think I would ever give it that specifically.
Yeah.
But I think like there's always the Nintendo vote. If you take the quality put into the game, how much Nintendo's tried something new with a series that, let's face it, like where do you go from Mario Kart 8? Like they had an expansion for that, which basically doubled the size of the game. They'd reused all the tracks, so many crazy characters, and it's like they're gonna just come out with another Mario Kart, and honestly, Mario Kart 9 might be boring. They figured something out. Like they've got the open world, they have the like Fall Guys elimination type rounds, which are actually my favorite part of the game. Oddly enough, I didn't think it would be, but that's slowly become my favorite part because it's just like a quick 20-minute run, and let's see how you do. How the courses are all laid out where they all blend together and it's like one long race versus like just going to one track doing laps, going to another track laps and all
the
that.
other thing that we're kind of forgetting is like this game only just came out. Like they're gonna add to it.
Yeah, there'll be more. Oh yeah, they're gonna add to this for sure. I could see them doing an expansion pass like they did with Mario Kart 8, charging 25 or whatever the heck dollar. Actually, I don't know what it'd be at this point because of prices, but like doubling its course size and stuff. I could definitely see them doing that.
Now we got to ask the real question though, like what crazy character they're going to put in, because they're probably looking at the Sonic game being like, they put Minecraft in here, what the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like Mario Kart 8 had Link, he showed up, and Animal Crossing had a character. I
so we're getting Samus this time for sure.
Yeah, like I feel like they're gonna add a couple Nintendo characters. I honestly don't know why they haven't yet. Like that'd be another thing they could do to kind of expand on this. Is really open it up in a more Smash Brothers-y kind of way. Like keep it pure Nintendo characters, but like open it up. Yeah, but they're gonna expand on it and it's just gonna even get better. Like getting to Rainbow Road and stuff. Rainbow Road was insane. It was such a good thing. They've added so many other random characters, like the cow. I almost exclusively played as the cow.
It almost feels like there's too many because it's just like, who do I pick?
Yeah, and now it's like I didn't realize that if you're playing it as other characters and they do their little transformation from their takeout bag,
all the variations,
that they have all the variations. And I wasn't locking any of them because I was playing as the cow. The cow has no variation, so I was missing out on all of that. So now I got to play more like, all right, what about be Peach and Mario and Luigi and Wario and all that. But I think it's a great game. Like it's brought back the battles from like the N64 version. We have the balloons above you, the elimination, the Grand Prix. It's online, and all of these features are online as well. It's
it
great.
Really just feels like the best version of it right now, and it's just still adding to it.
Yeah, and like I said, there's the local game share, which is an amazing feature, where only one person out of 4 people needs to own the game. And the game's not on Switch 1. Obviously, it can't run there, but it streams it to the other Switches. So you're all playing off the one copy, and it's just streaming it to 3 other screens. You can include Switch 1 in that. So if you have a Switch 1, you haven't upgraded yet, but your friend has, obviously, the new Mario Kart, you can sit in the same room, it'll stream to that screen, and you can all play local co-op. And stream it. And it's like amazing that that's now a feature that I haven't used yet, but my nephew does not have a Switch 2. There's no way he can afford it. He's 9. But he'd definitely want to play. Whenever we go to family events, we all take our Switches. Perfect. I can host or stream, and now him and other people can join in on their Switch 1s, and we're all playing Mario Kart without having to spend the ridiculous cost of Mario Kart this year, obviously.
It's just one of those things where it's like, obviously at the end of a year, it's not going to be a game of the year game. Like it's not designed to be like the put it at the top of a pedestal thing. Like Mario Kart's never been that. It's always been an accompaniment to, the library that Nintendo has always had. At this time though, I think it's like if you really wanted to put, like, I think it's deserving of like that wild card like 6th spot, right? Like it's just good enough that I think it's deserving of that. But if it's going to be winning awards, it's not going to be a game of the year. It's going to be in other spots that are niche to what it is.
Absolutely.
What else you got here?
For me, so I'll throw this one in. This is more of it's kind of I'm being biased here because of Baldur's Gate 3. So you've got the altars. This is kind of what I would have had in your spot for the altars, I think. I put Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
That's actually my number 5, just specifically because it's been reviewed extremely well as well. And like, I look at Reddit a lot for my gaming news and stuff, but like anytime I see a post about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's just nonstop like people gushing about it. I tried it.
Yeah.
It's not for me, but like I can see why, like especially a lot of role playing, like old like Western role playing game lovers, that they would be stupid into this. Because this is beyond going like above and beyond like an actual like role playing game.
Yeah, absolutely. This gives to me just that whole Baldur's Gate 3 thing. Like, I wouldn't have normally thought, like, oh, yeah, this will probably be a contender for Game of the Year. But now I'm kind of rethinking how I like see these games and everything. It's like, all right, this is kind of it seems to me like a very PC game. Like, I think it's on consoles, but like, I don't know, for some reason, this kind of style of game just looks like something
it's
play
definitely
on
a game that you're playing with mouse and keyboard more often than not.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just I know it had I think when I looked it was like 88 on Metacritic or something like that. Like it's
high
real
80s.
high. Yeah, and I'm like I just have a feeling this one's going to be on there. I haven't tried it yet.
Like my
I don't
biggest
know
complaint when I play is I felt overwhelmed, and that's perfectly fine for me to be like, you know what, it's not my thing. It's a little bit on the slow side. There's just I don't even know where the hell I'm going with it. But for people that are like super into like really realistic and in-depth versions of this kind of game, oh yeah, no, I absolutely get why people are just gobsmacked with it.
Yeah, because I even follow some channels on YouTube about like Steam Deck specific and stuff like that. And even they're like, it runs good. It's fine. Like it's like a 30 FPS, like lower settings kind of situation. But like they're playing it, yeah, on their main PC or whatever, but they're picking it up, continuing on their Steam Deck, and it's like great. Like that they're continuing, they can't stop playing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is sounding big. Like I feel like this is gonna be in the Game of the Year. So yeah.
Yeah,
I threw it in there.
I think it's one of those ones that I'm like, chances state it probably won't stick by the end of the year, but I do think it's good to see that games like that are getting a big shout out. And obviously, for it to start off with a bit of a contentious first release, like a lot of people had a lot to say about that first game, whether you agree or not with those opinions, but like to see that it's come out and I haven't really heard much about it otherwise. Like it's just been getting just critical good reviews, and that's been about it. So it's good to hear that, a second shot at it does way better in the long term for this franchise, and really opens the fact that for people who really enjoy these kind of role playing games, that there's definitely going to be more of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we covered all your. That was my 6 anyway. So you got one left.
Okay. All right. So this is where I was torn between 3. I literally wrote all 3 beside each other. I've got Elden Ring, Night Rain, which the only reason I'm putting there is because it has Elden Ring in the name. Let's be honest.
Look, they've already done it once. They can't surely do it twice, right?
I don't
also,
know.
A lot of people didn't seem to like it all that much in comparison. So.
Okay, well, here's hoping. I still put it in there like as like tied with these other 2, but it's between Elden Ring, Night Rain, Avowed, and South of Midnight. Because for me, these 3 kind of all fall in the same area. Not Elden Ring. I threw that in because of the name. Like I have no interest in this. I do not think it's Game of the Year. But Avowed and South of Midnight, especially, they're 2 Xbox titles, obviously, but they were ones where it was like they focused a lot on art direction and like making a game that actually is fun to play. Avowed is like not a giant map. It's like the whole Skyrim type game, but it actually. Every choice matters. There's so many crazy endings, and every choice you made, even in side quests, turns out to be meaningful and big. South of Midnight, obviously a much more contained linear game, but the art style was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. The music was so incredible, so New Orleans inspired, obviously. And the story was like touching and very cool. It's hard for me to pick. I would I don't want Elden Ring to get it. I would very much prefer Avowed and South of Midnight. It's just really hard to pick between them because they're both, in my opinion, very good. I could see Avowed taking it because of the genre a little bit more, maybe. But I'm throwing my hat in probably for South of Midnight, hoping it would be that one. I have to admit, I have a feeling it's not as popular as Avowed, which I have a bad feeling is not as popular as Elden Ring. So Elden Ring will probably get it. Avowed would probably have a second chance, but I would admit that I really would. I'm going to throw it in as South of Midnight, and that's the one I'll pick. That's the one I would hope would be the one that takes it.
So of those 3, I probably lean Avowed, but I
Yeah.
don't think any of those three would be enough.
Now, I don't think either of them are actually going to get it. This is
even if we were doing 6 today, like I don't even think those ones would make the cut. A large part of it is review score wise. It neither like South of Midnight I think was like high 70s. Avowed I don't think was that much either. And Elden Ring I think even at this point like Jeff wouldn't even dare, even if it was a really good game at this point, just because people would start really hammering the jokes down on that. South of Midnight, like I love South of Midnight to death, but I also recognize that it's a game that not a lot of people cared about, unfortunately. So that's one that's there. And Avowed, quite frankly, I don't think Avowed is anything special. I think it just does a formula that I think has been kind of done to death better than most, but I don't think that's enough to suddenly make it into like what, say, Claire Obscure has done for turn-based RPGs, for example.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I think Avowed is in the camp of, like, if there was a nomination for a really good game, yeah, I think that could qualify, but, like, Game of the Year, I don't think would be enough for it either. Even with this first 6 months, I don't even think it would be enough to get some of the other games. And there's still even backups that I have here, like, I'll go through those quickly. Death Stranding 2 is rating at a 90 on Metacritic right now, and that's the Kojima run as well. So, like, I put that on the side because, quite frankly, I think that game is so divisive that I don't think it could get that even with the review scores that it's getting currently. I don't think they would dare to throw that out there for a game that, let's be honest, there's no gray area for. Either people love this game or everybody just fucking doesn't understand why anyone likes it, which is I'm in that camp. I've tried it. I really tried to see what it was, and after about a few hours, I went, I'm sorry, guys, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds also is reviewed very well. I don't think they would qualify. I think they'd be more leaning for hopefully like a multiplayer award potentially, but even then they probably would struggle. Dune the Dark Ages is reviewed decently, but I don't think enough to really push it up there. I think there are even better Xbox games to begin with. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows, just to make Kaylan happy if he ever listens to the show. But let's be honest, Ubisoft hasn't deserved to be anywhere near a Game of the Year nomination in a long time. So,
yeah, no, not at all. My honorable mentions, I guess, or whatever you call them. I even wrote down Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. I'm like, I don't even think it's been.
I haven't even started playing it yet. That's still on my list, but I haven't seen a good sale price for it yet. No,
but I'm throwing that in there just because, like, for a Yakuza game to be in the nominations would just make you incredibly happy, and me too.
They need a follow-up award that's just the best, like, weird AF game.
Yeah.
Just so I can have Pirate Yakuza and Promise Mascot Agency fighting each other for the award.
That would be wild. Like I said, South of Midnight I had in there as I had it as an honorable mention because I wrote Elden Ring in the actual thing. Like, Assassin's Creed Shadows, only because it might get the, like, this is the best Assassin's Creed in so long that it may get a nomination. And then I also wrote Civilization 7, but I know that hasn't been reviewing nowhere near as good as the other Civilization games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the name
and
could
also it
carry
has to be reviewing extremely well for a really niche game to even get that shot.
Yeah.
That's why Blueprints is a lock to me, because it's a puzzle game that's very niche, but it is still to this point the second highest rated game on Metacritic, which is astonishing.
Crazy. Yeah. Also, what's astonishing is you and me were actually 5 for 6. We thought we were only going to have like 2 or 3 line up, or maybe 4. Yeah, we had 5.
I wouldn't have called this agreeing on Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's for sure.
Yeah. When you said like, oh, that's on my list, I was like, oh, never mind. I don't have to explain.
Because I think the only difference is I put in the altars and you put in well, I guess at this point it was South of Midnight you put in.
Yeah, South of Midnight. Yeah, it was originally Elden Ring, but I'm like, I don't want to put that out there. I want to throw a bone to like South of Midnight or something.
So then to cap this all off, we'll do something a little bit fun here. So forget what you think is getting nominated. Now I want you to tell me the 6 games that, like, and you can make it whether it's just personal preference or if it's, just you think like the 6 games that are the best, like, and most deserving in like every option of it. Because there are games that didn't make that cut for other reasons, like whether it's too indie or whatever not. I'll start with mine. It basically is unchanged except for one game. So I've got, and I'm doing this in order of like number 1 to number 6 for what I think is most deserving. Blueprints, like I said, is my game of the year currently, so that hits.
Yep.
Mario Kart World, I think right now is my number 2, but that's only because, again, I've played it, I've really gotten deep into it, and I think it's done a lot. Although I think it's very easy for that to be toppled because, again, it's a racing game. There's only so much you can really do with that before eventually other things take over it. Split Fiction, even though I haven't played it, it's done everything that I want the industry to do. It's a game that's about people playing together, not always being constantly yelling at each other for stuff. And it's also doing stuff that I wish more games would do, which is making it accessible for people that do not want to pay 2 copies to play a game together, because it shouldn't have to be like that. It's 2025. This isn't the day of cartridges where the only way you can play games with your friends is by going to their house. You can play together online. You shouldn't all have to pay $80 each time just to play a game together. It shouldn't have to be that way. Keep doing that.
Yep.
Number 4 is The Alters. I think that may change as they get to the end, but as of right now, it's another game that it does so many things right from a genre that is something that most people would not normally approach, and I think that really gives it a lot to it. Number 5, Clair Obscur. Again, it's not because I think it's not deserving of being the game of the year. It's just because for me personally, there's a lot of stuff that I just could not stop being upset about, and that's why it falls further down. The 6 is the only difference. I didn't put Kingdom Come Deliverance because I personally don't think it's that deserving, but I think it was just because of the overall scope that generally gamers are into. But instead of that, I'm putting another game that is reviewed very well, is also an indie game, and I think does something conceptually that most games don't do well, which is mystery and puzzle. And that is the game I talked about close to the beginning of the year called The Root Trees Are Dead, which is that game that I talked about how you are trying to piece together a family tree using basically like this like Windows 98 computer, just going through old, sites or like book clippings or things like that and slowly piecing that together. I think that's another puzzle game that is extremely good at what it does and very addicting to stick with. And I think does, something that not a lot of games do and provide it in a very condensed and very easy to digest format. And I think that's more than well deserving. What do I think will actually stick? At this point, I think Blueprints and Clair Obscur, like I said, are locks. They are not moving. Split Fiction, I think, probably stays. And then I really hope The Altar sticks around in people's minds, but I think it's too niche that it won't, and it isn't being talked about nearly as much. So if I really had to put money on it, I think you lock in Clair Obscur and Blueprints, and I don't even think I'd lock Split Fiction at this point. I think there's still so much time to see more things pop in, but I think they have the best shot of it.
All right, so for my 6 then, the ones that for me would really be the 6. Number 1, Clair Obscur. I will fight for this game until I die. It is my game of the year. I don't see it moving. It would take if it wins
game of the year this year, I won't be mad. I'll just again reiterate what I said earlier is like, okay, now y'all need to play Metaphor and understand what the best turn-based RPG in the last couple of years is.
Yeah, this game is only getting knocked out if like a third Chrono Trigger release gets surprised on me in like my birthday or something. Like it would have to be so intense to knock Clair Obscur out.
Well, what if the Final Fantasy IX remake that apparently might be getting announced in a week is coming out this year?
And it's turn-based? Then I would then there
then
would
we
be
got a conversation going on.
Yeah, if it's even action-based like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I love, it still won't beat Clair Obscur to me.
Yeah.
So Clair Obscur 1. I'll give Blueprints. I'll give my number 2. That was just incredibly addicting, fun puzzle mechanics. I loved it. Mario Kart World would be my number 3, like in my personal list, because I've like obviously played it and I love what it's done. Split Fiction would be still my 4th. After there, Kingdom Come Deliverance wouldn't obviously be on there for me. Split Fiction, I know I haven't played, but I can already tell what it's like, and it's just going to be a way out, and It Takes Two, but like turned up to 11. I've seen how it looks and going through the different worlds, whether it's sci-fi and fantasy and all that kind of stuff. I know it's going to blow my mind. There's no chance it won't. But after that, then that's when it is Avowed and South of Midnight. Those would be my other 2. Which ones would actually stick? I really think Clair Obscur and Blueprints, you and me are fully aligned on those 2. I think I'm going to give it to Split Fiction 2, take a gamble on that. That one would stick around. But Mario Kart World, I don't think it will. And yeah, Avowed and South of Midnight, they were my number 6 for like actual chances, like with the Elden Ring option. They were more just like I was having trouble with my 6th one, and it's like what I would put in there now. But no matter what I put in my 6th spot, it's not going to hold no matter what. Anyways, there's the rest of the year, right? I really do think only Clair Obscur, Blueprints, and Split Fiction will be the 3 that hold. But yeah, my personal 6 actually does include Avowed and South of Midnight, just because they were genuinely really good games to me. Like I actually was pleasantly surprised by them. I was as well with like Assassin's Creed Shadows and stuff, but like it's still an Assassin's Creed game. It's never going to be my game of the year unless I had like the most comfort food award, I guess would be the best way of putting that. It's like the cozy, not cozy like a cozy game, just like the most comforting comfort food that you can find. It's my McDonald's. It's like not great, but you know, once in a while you kind of eat it and you're like, wow, that was just what I needed. That's just what I needed. Some Assassin's Creed Shadows burger, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I fall. And that's where you fall. We are so aligned. We were very aligned.
See, this is what happens when Kaylan's not here. He can't be like, you guys are stupid. You're missing the real one, which is Atomic Heart 2 Electric Boogaloo, which hasn't come out yet, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know I don't think Kaylan got a chance to play Blueprints yet. Or any of the games we nominated. Wait a minute.
It's almost like there's something in his life that's kind of keeping him busy, that is just making him really hard to get around to things. And he also has to decide to play like Assassin's Creed Shadows to be like 6 months of his time.
Yeah, I feel like he would have nominated Avowed. I feel like he would have he loved that. I feel like he would have thrown that in.
I think so too, yeah.
Yes. I mean,
assuming he's here next week, we'll ask him at the top of the show just to give his quick picks. But yeah, that's what I would lean towards with him anyway.
Yeah. So I guess me and him, Avowed, very aligned.
There you go. All right, well, I think that about covers it. We will obviously see as the months come forward. I mean, who knows? Maybe there'll actually be stuff in November that could affect it too, but it sounds like by the time we hit the end of October, we'll have a pretty good idea of how that's all looking. But we shall see. And obviously, you know, there's a lot of time still left there. We could really see, like, do we really think that there's any chance that like Blueprints or Clair Obscur can knock off? I'd say no, but you never know. There could just be 6 gems that just come out of the woodwork and just shatter everything. I think like, man, I don't think Clair Obscur could even lose out to. There's just so much buzz on that game. Like, yeah. I think Blueprints could be if 5 incredible games come out, but I don't see any more than 4 getting added to the list from this. I think, like we said, Split Fiction has a pretty good shot of sticking 2, but like, I think you can guarantee 2 games from this first 6 months are going to make it, for sure.
You're going to feel real silly when Chrono Trigger 3, Xenogears Remake, and Final Fantasy 9 Remake come out this year, as well as Final Fantasy 17, and it returns back to turn-based.
Chris, you were assuming that Square Enix is going to make intelligent decisions. Come the hell on.
The amount of money they would make off of those 4 things I just listed, they would be more wealthy than Microsoft and Apple combined. It would be insane.
No chance, man. No chance.
Oh, they sit on a gold mine. It's insane.
Well, that's a good way to stop it here by just Chris just being infinitely depressed by Square Enix once again, just like most of our shows always end. But that is going to do it for this episode, folks. So you guys know the drill. If you're listening on any audio platforms, you can give us a 5-star rating. Yeah, you heard me, 5 stars. Don't cheap us out on that 4. Do that. Obviously, share with all your friends. Same goes to you folks on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Don't forget our link tree, linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast, link to our Discord, all that jazz. We'll be happy to talk with you there. If you're listening on YouTube, by the way, comment below. What do you think are the games that you would nominate for Game of the Year so far this year? So let us know what you think about that. Anyways, though, we will see you on Friday for the side quest. We are going over the Wii games we would like to remake. And we are just about done there. We're almost out of it. It's getting close. It's getting close, man.
It'd be wild.
But that's going to do it, folks. So take care wherever you may be. Bye-bye for now.